Welcome back to Wayne Comben Angling. Just been out, just flushed the engine. Now most people will know what these are. These are just normal pair of muffs. But what I've done is, normal muffs only feed in from one position. So what I did, I adapted these, as you can see. So now the hose connection goes on there, and it actually feeds the water in from both sides of the muff. I drilled an extra hole in there, and now it feeds in from both sides. So just a few little bits, cheap bits I found, you know, hanging around, and it works a treat. And basically what it means is it's giving a good water supply to that engine, keep it cool as you're flushing it out. You might have seen me taste the towel, just see if there's any salts left in it. There wasn't. About 5 minutes, that's all it needs, just to flush it out. Don't ever disappear in case someone shuts the water off, which has happened once or twice. Don't take long to these engines to overheat. One more thing to remember as well, while I was talking about flushing, don't need to rev the engine up. I see people absolutely revving the guts out of them. I wouldn't on muffs. Don't need to do it. So that tick over. There is another position actually where you can flush an engine without putting any power on. I'm just trying to find it. Where is there? It is there. So you undo that there, and there's a connector that goes onto there, plugs in, and it will flush your engine out. This boat is in desperate need of a clean as well. So I've got a nice soft brush for the top sides, all the gel coat. The deck needs a slightly stiffer brush, which is over there. And literally that's what I'm going to do now. Just give the boat a quick scrub down. I've got some cleaner there, just some normal car cleaning shampoo I use. To get the boat really up together, once it's clean, that's when you polish it, and that's what brings it up. Really just needs something. You can buy boat shampoo if you want to spend a fortune. I find normal cheapo car cleaning shampoo does the job. It is important, especially in the summer, to rinse your boat off and clean it, because if you leave any squid on it in particular, you have bits of squid stuck on your gel coat, it bakes on like epoxy resin, and it's extremely hard to get off. And even things like bits of ragworm and that lot, they're much harder. Bits of seaweed, they're a lot harder to get off once they're dried and caked on than they are straight after you've been out on a trip. So rinse your boat off, it saves you a lot of work at a later date. Something else I don't think I've mentioned, docking arms. Now these are fantastic. Basically these were made when the trailer was made, nice and high as well, which is important. Originally they made them this high, not high enough. I've had an extra bit welded on. There's a nice bit of soft, well it's not soft, but it protects the boat. It's a piece of nylon actually. But what these do, these docking arms, it means instead of your boat wafting all over the trailer trying to put it on, the tides pushing it, you just pull it round into these, and it just lines the whole boat up, and it just pushes straight onto the centre of rollers. Hook it up, wind it up. They are, especially for someone like me who launches a lot alone, solo, these are really, really good. Yeah, you can be moved out to fit the width for boats. These ones in particular, they're locked in the perfect position, nice and tight. You know, there's not much gap between. You don't want much gap, otherwise it's too much to come off the rollers. But ideal. Something else. When I board my anchor up, I use the old knee ring technique. I want to see it. I'm the one driving the boat. A lot of people do it from the opposite side. It's not for me. By the time someone would say to you, well mate, the rope's going under the boat, well, too late, you've done it. So I pull anchor from my side because I want to see where the buoy is. So as a consequence, what I've done is I've cut myself a piece of 25mm normal polyprop water pipe. I put a split in it, and I've opened it up and I've pushed it lovely and tight. Now that's where I just pull my anchor up over the top of there, and it saves, especially when the chain comes up, saves you scratching all your nice stainless rails. It's very simple but very, very effective, and you could probably look around and see there's about a dozen boats now that have copied the idea. Just thought, you know, nice and easy, fits perfectly on these particular rails. Nice job. So another important thing, grab rails. Now, particularly on this Wilson, there's a step here, so if I ever have to climb around the front, unfortunately the only way of doing it is stand on there and hold on that. So proper strong 316 grab rail. You probably see it from the other side, held on with penny washers to spread the weight. Now you could even put bigger ones than that on if you wanted, but obviously I wouldn't get much bigger or they'd be touching each other, but that spreads the weight very, very nicely. You know, you'd rip the flybridge off before they pulled out, especially someone like me, 18.5 stone. You're leaning on that, you want some nice penny washers as backing. Something else, wipers. Now you can put electric wipers on if you wish. I don't. It's just more electrics to go wrong. So I've just got the hand washers like that. It's very, very simple. They last for years. All you have to do is change the blades every now and again. But I like to see where I'm going, so the hand washers, perfect. So speaking about wipers, windows. So you can use all sorts of materials really, perspex, polycarbonate, acrylic. My acrylic windows in the previous boat were very good. Some materials scratch more than others, but you can buff any scratches out with a bit of polish, as long as they're not too deep. Wilson's in particular came with rubbers, which the windows, one side part of the rubber fits over that and the other part fits in the window. No good as far as I'm concerned. You want bolt through, so you want to cut them oversized and bolt them on, and that way no waves ever pushing them through, a lot stronger. And actually stiffens the flybridge up as well. People don't think about that, but it actually does. So obviously once you when you're fitting them, use sealant. So I've used black against this. It's a bit messy at the moment. I could have done that neater, and at some stage I probably will take them all off and do them better than that, but I should have masked it up better. But I've used Sikaflex marine sealant, fantastic stuff. Put plenty on, and then if you've taped it off and masked it off properly, wet finger, neat, peel it off, jobs are good. All boats should have one of these with outboards, I think inboards as well. That's a fuel and water separator. It needs replacing. It's been on there about 8 months. You can see it's starting to look a bit scabby from the outside, but I do a lot of hours, so I normally change them every 6 months. But I've got the new one ready to change it. Little tip is, get yourself a bowl underneath there, and when you unscrew that, you're going to get a bit of petrol coming out. And what I do, I prime the new one, so I fill it with petrol and then gently put it back up. Little bit of grease around the rubber seal, just helps get the old one off. Any water in, if it bypasses that separator, if you haven't got one, any water in your fuel, whether it be condensation, whether it's got in there at the station, that's happened before. If you get water in these electric fuel injection engines, it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. It can cost you a lot of money and it can be very problematic. So these fuel water separators, they're vital, absolutely vital. Now more than one person, myself included on my old boat, has stepped on the mud guards to get up on the boat. Big mistake with plastic mud guards. They will eventually crack and shatter. So as a consequence, I had a couple of foot plates put on. When I had the trailer built, step on there, step onto the trailer. Another very good idea, very simple idea, very good idea. All boats really should have an outboard lock on them. Now basically my insurance insists I have one, and I think actually the club rules insist we have one. It just makes things a lot harder for anyone to come and try to unbolt your outboard and nick it. Unfortunately, what will happen occasionally is they'll just chainsaw them straight off the transom, and that has happened. We're fortunate in the ECA where I am, we've got plenty of security, lots of cameras, full-time security. It's never happened, but you have to have that, at least I do. I have to have an outboard lock for my insurance purposes, and it's well worth fitting one. Here we got my neighbouring trailer. He's out on the boat fishing. Same thing, he's got bunks. They put carpet on him, which is a really good idea. Nice hardware and a bit of Berber. Just means the boat slides nicely on it. I've got actually nylon on mine, on top of mine. It slides on there very nicely. As you can see, he's got docking arms as well. Not so many rollers as my boat, but it's a different boat. He's got an Alaska on here. Thing to mention while you can see him, because you don't often see him off when the boat's on there, is suspension units. Now, there's two main types. These ones, which literally there's 4 pieces of rubber in each corner of the square box section, and the suspension unit is pressed in there with some really heavy duty press. Now the problem with it, and it's a big problem, is you don't see what goes on inside there, so it could be rotting out inside there. Something you really must keep an eye out for. So every now and again, just check the real, you know, just as best you can check. What I would say is after about no more than 10 years I would just change them. It's on this one, it's not easy, because how do you get them out? They've been pressed in with probably some kind of really heavy duty tonnage press. Not easy to get out, but well worth checking them, because if you tow the boat, particularly on the road, that can just snap like a carrot. One thing to remember as well, these keel rollers, some are rubber, some are sort of a hard nylon, depending on what they're made of. They can compress, so just keep an eye on them. The reason you need to keep an eye on them is because if you set up your boat so it's sitting on the bunks, but this compresses too much, it can be too much weight on the bunks. You really want the weight on the keel rollers. If we move further up the trailer, you'll see this next one is very compressed. So what's happened is, that's the position when the boat, it finds that position all the time. Really, they want to keep an eye on that, because that's not great. Another thing, with these short rollers out, it's very easy to scratch your boat on these parts of it. If you look at the end roller, this is what you want. You want to fit these. So basically these, then there's nothing really for your boat to scratch on, the keel to get scratched on. If you have these fitted, it's a very good idea. So it just rolls on there, and should it just miss it on the side, it's not going to scratch it on the bracket. Hopefully you found some of these tips useful. All we've done really is walk around the boat, see if we can pick up any ideas that people might help them. If you think they do, if you've got any other things to comment on, feel free to do it on the YouTube page. And yeah, we'll have some more films up for you shortly.